The year is 2007. A much younger version of myself logs off of fishing lobsters on RuneScape and lays down into bed for the evening. It's getting late, and the last episode of Family Guy just ended. Adult Swim was about to enter the dreaded after-hours shows. I lay in bed praying that by some miracle of the forces beyond my control, I hear the Family Guy intro start again. Alas, my worst fears have come to fruition. I hear the dreaded "bok bok bok" begin to play. That sounded pretty good, actually. For as long as I can remember, I have never liked Robot Chicken. I can't exactly tell you a reason why either. Maybe it was the animation style, or the humor just didn't exactly hit for me. For years, I've carefully avoided the dreaded chicken, but like a desperate gambler, stumbling upon an ATM after losing his last hand of blackjack, the chicken calls to me. Today, I'll be watching and ranking the 8 highest rated IMDB episodes of Robot Chicken. I'm going into this with an open mind. Maybe this show is underrated, or it's just a dumpster fire with a super catchy theme song. Apologies to my wife and 4-month-old child, because I'll be balking that theme song all week. Statistically, you're either watching this while on the toilet, in the shower, or eating dinner, so let's quit yapping in the intro and let's finally watch the evil Robot Chicken. You have been visited by the Lucky Cat. Subscribe now and you will have 10 years of good luck. Please subscribe so that I can feed my family. We also have a Discord, and we are actively trying to count to 1 million, one message at a time. Please come help us. As always, a massive shout out to our channel members and Patreons for their continued support. I really appreciate it. For those of you unfamiliar, each Robot Chicken episode is roughly 11 minutes long, and I'll try to break down what's going on in each of them. From what I recall, there is not a ton of story in these episodes, more just random cutaways to fill the runtime. I'll cover relevant points in the episodes as best as I can. I haven't seen an episode since around 2010, I would estimate, so all of this is really new to me. I was shocked to learn that they are still airing new episodes in 2022. I'm even more shocked that they are scheduled to do a 20-year special sometime this year in 2025. From this, I am convinced that Robot Chicken is unkillable. I can't wait to be in the nursing home in 20 years, covering Robot Chicken's 100th season. Wait, what do you mean the best episode is a Walking Dead parody? I've never talked about this on the channel, but I'm a massive Walking Dead fan. I've seen every episode of the main show. I even suffered through every episode of Fear the Walking Dead too. Negan is in my top 3 characters from the show, and he's in the thumbnail on IMDB, so if this episode isn't a hit, it's gonna be a long video for me. Fair warning, there are major Walking Dead spoilers ahead, so skip to the next segment if you want to avoid those. We start this journey with a lovely trip to the Walking Dead Museum, taking place after they found a cure to the zombie outbreak. Thankfully, the real Carl is here to tell us the true story of how it all went down. Rick unknowingly slamming Morgan's wife here is a really great bit.
She's one gargoyle-looking Fuggo 3-bagger.
That's my wife.
Woo-wee! Gorgeous woman.
Oh great, Merle gets a musical number. If there's one thing I despise in shows, it's unnecessary singing and dancing, especially Merle duetting with a zombie. The jokes with the suggestive unicorn and Rick are pretty uncomfortable. The action of fighting the zombies looks really cool. I wish they did more of this. Wait, did Norman Reedus actually voice this? This part sounds exactly like him.
I'm out. Thanks. I'm out again.
There's a ton of traumatic moments from the show redone in this episode. Carol putting down Lizzie, Glenn and Abraham's deaths, Noah's death. Noah's final scene in The Walking Dead gave me nightmares for weeks. Good thing I get to watch the Robot Chicken version too. Wait, what did Rick say the name of the kingdom was?
The Kingdom Comers? The Baseball Furies? What is he?
Just let him run.
Negan really didn't have many great bits during this special. I'm a bit disappointed in that. Although I am really impressed with how much of The Walking Dead they referenced. They had moments from at least the first 8 seasons of the show. The episode ends with the Robot Chicken nerd saving Carl from the last existing walker. They even threw in a Talking Dead end credit scene. Super nice touch. Surprisingly, they got the entire cast of The Walking Dead to voice their own characters. This episode is a really nice celebration of The Walking Dead. Glad to see Robot Chicken doing it right and not giving us the Kmart version of the voice actors. I could do without some of the over-the-top edgy jokes. Now it's coming back to me why I didn't really like Robot Chicken. All things considered though, this episode is really solid and a great start to our ranking today. Being a Walking Dead fan, this episode scratches that itch like stopping at a Taco Bell at 2 a.m. You have not lived if you haven't tried a crunch wrap in the wee hours of the morning. I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous for the rest of this ranking, since this episode didn't really blow me away. Top of the list for now, and it might be tough to beat. We are going way back to the Season 2 episode Lust for Puppets. That first episode was a bit of an exception. It was 20 minutes long, while the rest of these episodes are only 10. We don't kink shame here at the Buckoverse, but this title has me a little nervous.
You what?
First time seeing that classic opening sequence, it's actually kind of nostalgic. Like playing split screen Halo with your boys on a Friday night. Turns out Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbes isn't real. Calvin is just having schizo episodes. He goes on a rampage and they end up throwing Calvin in the loony bin with his stuffed animal Hobbs. Oh no, Cameron Diaz only has 24 hours to live due to a toxic makeup brand that actors use. Cameron Diaz goes on an assault spree with a bat. We kind of have a theme going on with this episode. At least Cameron Diaz would make Negan proud with her actions. Lots of pop culture references in these episodes, mixed into the shock value humor. The references are pretty dated, and I'll be the first to admit I don't really know much about Cameron Diaz. Wait, she voiced Fiona from Shrek? Okay, she's officially cool in my book. Strange decision to date an ogre as a princess, but again, we don't kink shame here in the Buckoverse. Most of these 5-second cutaways don't really do anything for me, but I really like this cat one.
Got a new bell yesterday.
Ooh, a new bell.
Loving it. Really cool jingle.
In the end cap, Mario and Luigi made a wrong turn and ended up in Vice City. They go on a crime spree and go out in a blaze of glory once their wanted level gets too high. Some of these scenes really make you appreciate the stop motion and claymation used to make these episodes. The episode finally concludes with Yoshi making a wrong turn, but instead of Vice City, he ends up in Raccoon City. Personally, I would not go to Raccoon City. Crime rate is off the charts, and rent is ridiculously high for that area. This episode was just okay. Nothing really stood out to me as over-the-top funny, a few decent moments here and there, but man, this show is incredibly fast-paced. They fit 16 individual gags into a 10-minute episode. Robot Chicken kinda feels like doom scrolling on TikTok, but way more over-the-top edgy humor. Things that would cause your TikTok account to be sent to the Shadow Realm. This episode is going in the number 2 slot. It was just alright. We are jumping all the way up to Season 5 with this next episode, Fight Club Paradise. There are not many IMDB rankings for each of these episodes, and the top 10 has already shifted since I jotted them down, but I'm just gonna lock in whatever I have at the time of writing the script. This episode starts with a cleaning lady coming into the room where the robot chicken is restrained and forced to watch these TV clips. She frees him and he escapes from the lab he was being kept in. This intro is to celebrate Robot Chicken hitting 100 episodes. They do 20 episodes per season, way overshadowing South Park, who does 6 or so and then calls it good for a couple of years. We're watching a Sex and the City 3 trailer, and it's just a compilation of explosions and wait, what the hell is going on in this Yogi Bear segment? This is amazing! I have absolutely no idea what is happening, but I love it. Live action Yogi Bear fighting against the Power Rangers? This segment had me cracking up so much. The creators probably had so much fun filming this scene. We cut back to the chicken escaping storyline. The evil scientist has abducted his wife, and the chicken has set out to rescue her. Battling through the evil scientist tower, fighting callback after callback from the show's history. This feels like I'm watching a cutscene in a video game. I can't lie, this is pretty epic, and the animation style with the camera following him around works very well. This goes on for quite some time, and it's pure cinema. The chicken makes it to the scientist and realizes his wife is now a 4-piece KFC combo, leading to an epic final battle with the scientist. The scientist seems to have the upper hand, but his arm gets trapped in the chair. The chicken takes advantage, pushing the wall of TVs onto him and winning the battle. It turns out his wife was just in the other room, and they embrace together, eating some of the leftover KFC. This episode was flawless. Best episode of Robot Chicken I have ever seen. The story was so simple, but so effective. I was hooked from the start. The non-stop action and very creative camera work had me on the edge of my seat. The show feels way better with a lot less, but more impactful segments. If any other episode can top this, I will truly be amazed. Top of the list, and it's not even close. What a work of art. We are jumping ahead a couple more seasons into the Season 7 episode, the Pudding Special. This episode is about Pudding, who is a sassy recurring character. The wiki lists her as being enemies with almost everyone. Pudding is less liked than people who listen to music without headphones in public. Pudding is knocked out and finds herself attached to a male delivery bird. He's delivering her straight into a volcano, but just like the Cleveland Browns, he's not very good at his job. Pudding wakes up in the Slorp village. The Slorps need help getting their Slorp nuts back from the The Slorps need help getting their Slorp nuts back from the Squirrel Wizard. Pudding accidentally one-pumps the wrong squirrel, leading to the evil wizard decimating the entire Slorp village. Pudding battles the Squirrel Wizard to the death. I gotta admit, Robot Chicken has some pretty cool and violent fight scenes. The Slorps take Pudding home and she sees they are throwing a party because she is gone for good. Of course, she's not gonna stand for this and she... Well, I gotta censor this part. Let's just pretend she gave them all flowers and they forgave her. This episode had no cutaways and focused on one story the whole time. I feel this was one of the stronger episodes I've seen. The storytelling when focused is solid, and the action scenes elevated to the next level. I'm putting this episode right below Fight Club Paradise. 2 bangers in a row. Was I wrong about this show? We have yet another special episode with the 200th episode special, Endgame. It feels weird to say this, but I have really high expectations for this episode, especially coming off the last 2 episodes. I hope it's an Avengers parody, but let's find out. We open up with Sam Elliott explaining this episode will be a follow-along adventure, that the audience selects what happens next. Not sure how that's gonna work because I'm a few years late to watching this one. The chicken in the intro is replaced by the nerdy kid. I like how Batman's Tinder profile has a bat and a man emoji in his bio. The nerd is learning how to defeat vampires. Wait, this is a reference that I actually know.
Yeah, I've seen their kind. Any second now, they're gonna start an old-timey baseball game.
I've never watched the Twilight Saga before, but I feel like everyone has seen the baseball scene. Well, those weren't actually vampires that he just defeated. The real vampires were over here. The nerd goes into hiding and we are following him from school to school as he tries to find the right fit. None of these bits are all too funny though, hardly worth mentioning at all. Deadpool shows up at some point, so I guess it's sort of an Avengers parody. Deadpool reminds the nerd that the episode is a choose your own adventure, so he can just give 2 outcomes that both benefit him. The episode ends with the scientist giving a presentation after 200 episodes of data is compiled. The computer spits out the answer of the funniest joke in history, and it's just La La Land. This episode was a massive letdown after the greatness that the 100th episode was. There are a lot of haha poo poo funny jokes in this show, and it is almost never funny. This one was pretty bad. Bottom of the list. I'm starting to think that the last 2 episodes were just fool's gold. We are rewinding all the way back to season 2 for the next episode, Suck It. This is the first episode of the 2nd season. The intro of this episode takes some shots at Adult Swim for canceling Robot Chicken after just 1 season. At the end of the opening segment, they get renewed for another season. A butterfly effect that I never thought would affect me, but here we are. This was the first time the show opened up with anything but the intro. You can really tell that Seth MacFarlane voice acted in this one. Lots of Family Guy voices popping up. I can really hear Chris Griffin here in this short Sun segment. This Galaga bit is a really clever idea, and I really liked it.
Oh, there goes Carl.
Oh, he had 2 kids, right?
3 boy and 2 girls. I'm their godfather.
This episode is jam-packed with segments. This may be the first instance of the pervert unicorn appearing in an episode. I'm not gonna look it up, but I give permission to one person to call me a dumb sillyhead in the comments if I'm wrong. The Brady Bunch is having an intense gunfight for some reason. I don't really remember why. It was difficult to script out anything for this one. They stuffed in 17 total bits in just over 10 minutes of runtime. A lot was happening, but nothing was particularly funny or interesting. If this is the episode that they are going to open with right after getting the show renewed, Adult Swim must have thought they made a terrible mistake in renewing them. I do have to applaud this episode for not making any poop your pants jokes. The bar is really that low for some of these. Going above Endgame on the ranking today. Going 1 season into the future, we have season 3's Squawberry Shortcake. Squawberry Shortcake. That's how it's spelled, alright? The episode starts with a rather lengthy segment about a cartoon I am not familiar with. These segments seem to always miss because I just don't understand what the premise is supposed to be. At least a Mythbusters segment is next. Everyone who has ever went to public school has had a moment where they had a substitute teacher who wheeled in a TV cart and played Mythbusters. The Mythbusters are out to bust the myth that, hanging out with your willy too much causes blindness. They sure saved this kid from going blind. This Godzilla bit is super familiar. I somehow remember this episode. Like a Russian sleeper agent hearing their activation words, my brain has buried the contents of this episode deep into a vault that should never have been opened. Most of the bits in this episode are actually pretty decent. The Bob Barker segment is a real classic Robot Chicken cutaway. He's going on a mass neutering spree to help keep the local stray animal population down. Once word gets out to the dogs, the master of all dogs, Snoop Dogg, lures him into a trap, leading to a super cool fight scene. Bob Barker wins the battle and fixes Snoop Dogg once and for all. Robot Chicken really goes all out on some of these voice actors. They must have used to show this episode a lot because this one was coming back to me like a recurring nightmare. I actually thought it was a pretty good episode though. Best non-linear episode I've seen so far, going above the Walking Dead special. The bar wasn't super high, but this episode is solid. I'm not going to pretend to know how to pronounce the title of this episode, but listen to the episode description. The Squatch Squad emerges from hiding to protect their forest home. The Wuzzles meet the Fly and things get a little bit crazy. The RC writers show us Bill and Ted's last and greatest adventure. This description alone feels like a psychedelic trip. It's interesting how by season 10 of the show, the chicken and the scientist are working together in the intro. Man, the Squatch Squad really gets their own intro to their segment. We are 2 minutes into this episode and I have already seen 2 different intros. I'm finding that a lot of these pop culture references are lost on me. When this occurs, the odds of me enjoying the bit drop drastically. There was a Star Wars bit followed by a Matrix bit, and you can throw exactly 1 tomato at me in the comments for the following statements. I've never seen any Star Wars movie, and I didn't really like the first Matrix movie.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Wait, hold on. What's actually happening here? There is an oddly specific segment about putting honey in your tea. At the time of writing the script, my wife was just making fun of me because I put excessive amounts of honey in my bedtime tea every night. How does this episode know so much lore about me? It turns out I was the real robot chicken all along? This episode was 1 segment away from starting and ending with a poop joke. And if that doesn't sum up Robot Chicken perfectly, I don't know what does. I can't really point to any good moments from this one. Seems to be a common theme with some of these episodes, where the entire 11-minute trip has nothing that stands out. With so many moments packed into such a short time frame, it all ends up blurring together. I'm ranking this one just above Endgame. Not a fan of this episode at all. I finally subjected myself to the pain and suffering of watching the top 8 episodes of Robot Chicken. I had really low expectations coming into this ranking today, but I have to admit, the episode Fight Club Paradise was a very pleasant surprise. Even though it was a 100th episode special, and it was jam-packed full of callback characters, I enjoyed the entire ride. The Pudding Special was also another good episode that I consider worth watching. I thought the episodes best shine when they focused more on linear storytelling instead of having 3 bits per episode, where the joke was that someone pooped their pants. Squaw Shortcake was a pretty nostalgic episode to me for some reason. I'm guessing Adult Swim aired that episode frequently because I vividly remember most of the bits in that one. After the top 3 though, the rest of the episodes are just a big blur. If you're big into The Walking Dead, you may enjoy that special, but the drop off after Squaw is a Grand Canyon sized crater in quality. From this experiment, I can attest that I am not a fan of this show's comedic style. It's perfectly normal to not like things, but to judge them without even trying them is foolish. I hope this video made up for my previous sins of casting judgment down onto the robotic chicken. I wonder what Nick Critic is going to comment about on every video now. If you want to see more videos like this, drop any ideas or suggestions in the comments below. If you enjoy the content, please be sure to subscribe. That helps me out a ton. A link to the Discord is also below, and if you made it this long, you might as well click another video to show the mighty YouTube algorithm that I am worthy. Thanks for watching.